What's up? What's up? What's up, everybody? It's that time of the week, that time of the day, that time of the month.
It is, yeah.
Switched it up a little bit.
Yeah.
You're listening to The Good,
The Band.
The Ugly. I'm Big Papa.
I'm Jeff.
I think that music's too loud.
Maybe.
Anyway, summertime.
Yes.
Got a fucking heat stroke today, I'll tell you that much.
You would have, yeah.
Jeez.
I know.
I was out on the bike today, and it was hot.
Yeah.
90 degrees outside.
Mm-hmm.
And it's big guys, heat and leather don't mix.
No.
But, you know.
Got to look cool.
Shut up. It takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
How you doing? How was your week?
Good.
How was your Father's Day?
Good. Yours?
Great.
Good.
Got us all together. No arguing.
Is that a first?
Yes.
Okay, good.
It was a beautiful thing.
Good. Perfect.
Hey, we have a little different show today. You know, typically we've got the musicians that are on the show to try to promote stuff, but now we've got a gentleman that this is what he does.
Yep.
He helps.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for him, some of the bands and some of the people just wouldn't be
where
known
they are
as well as they are.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not even going to just try to describe it. I'm going to let him come in and tell us. Joining us right now, Mike Brandvold to the show. Dun, dun, dun.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, guys.
Here he is.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, believe me, thanks for
Pleasure.
being on.
Yes.
I mean,
appreciate it.
It's hard for me to describe to people what you do as well as I'm sure you, or as good as you could do it. So I'm going to let you describe what you do in a nutshell for some of our listeners.
In a nutshell, I help bands with their marketing, online marketing, tour marketing, album release marketing, merchandise marketing, social media. Every band comes to the table with a little bit different requirements,
right?
But that's kind of the bucket it all falls into. And I sort of describe myself as a professional fan.
Okay.
Because I'm not a musician.
Right.
I've never been a musician. I've never been in a band. I've never written a song. The only guitar I can play is the air guitar. But I'm a fan.
Me too.
I've been a fan my entire life. I buy records. I go to concerts. I join fan clubs. I buy T-shirts. Mm-hmm. And in this day and age, that's the most important thing any band can have.
Right.
Yeah.
Are fans who will spend money.
Yeah. Well,
years ago, we stood in line to get our tickets. Mm-hmm. You didn't have an outlet to buy the T-shirts, the merch, other than what you bought at a concert. Unless you bought the album or just the record.
Yeah.
Or
exactly.
Cassette,
maybe. CD, whatever.
Well, not a CD. Not when I was a kid. We were still etching them on wax. But
yeah, we were.
But that's where you got it. Mm-hmm. So if you had a KISS shirt on, it's because you went to the concert. You didn't find
pretty much.
You didn't find Walmart selling
a
KISS shirts.
KISS shirt.
Or
I mean, your local record store might have a couple dozen band T-shirts in the back corner.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not like walking into Target or Walmart today where there's just dozens upon dozens of wholesale shirts from every band you can imagine. No, you either bought that merchandise at the show or you had to find an import record shop, a head shop.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're right.
Head shops.
Yeah.
That might have, some musty smelling T-shirts in the back corner, and that's where you bought your merch.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. I can remember days too where, talking about back then, you never knew ahead of time when the band was coming. You had to listen to the radio.
Or you saw that's maybe in Hit Parader or one of those that they were on tour.
Yes.
And then you just prayed
that they were coming to your town.
Yeah, I remember. I slept out. How many times I slept out for KISS tickets or Foreigner or
whoever.
AC/DC. I mean, those were the.
And you know, you had no idea walking into that show what merchandise was going to be available.
Right.
Correct.
You could assume there's going to be a tour book, some T-shirts, a 3/4 length baseball jersey,
Right.
Yeah.
and maybe a hat. But beyond that, you didn't know what the designs were.
Right.
You didn't know how many styles. You didn't know the prices of them.
No.
So it was sort of like, all right, I'm bringing, $50 to the concert to buy my tour merch.
Right.
I don't know what I'm getting. And, as soon as you walk in, the first thing you did is made a beeline straight for the merchandise stand.
Yeah.
And, there was no credit cards back then.
Nope.
God, no.
It was cash. It was
Cash
cash.
only.
You're like, okay, I got $50. I can get this, and this. All right, give me those. And then I always remember the fun part was, now how do I keep them from getting destroyed during the concert?
Yeah.
Because you never sat down. You stood up on your chair.
The entire time.
You couldn't sit down because, the rows would just move and fluctuate.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to do is spend $50 on a couple T-shirts and a tour book, set it down on the floor, somebody spilled beer all over it,
Yep.
look down, somebody walked by and has stolen the bag or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you held on to this stuff for dear life during a concert.
And when it got home, you cherished it.
Oh, yeah.
It was like,
Well, when you got home, the second part of the ritual was the next day when you went to school, you had to
wore
wear
it.
your concert
oh
T-shirt.
gosh, yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Of course you did.
Yep.
That was your badge of honor. I was there last night.
Yeah, and
Yep.
and it might be on you for like 4 days. Like,
Look.
dude, I remember I think I wore the stitching off my first Twisted Sister shirt because nobody had heard of them, and it was they were fresh. They were still playing clubs, and I had my father knew the club owner and got us in, and we were told. I was 15. They were like, "Do not leave this table, but you can stay and watch the band." And we're just like, "Okay," and that was the greatest thing ever. And I had I had a sleeve. I'll never forget, a sleeveless T-shirt. It had a pink Twisted Sister logo on it, and I wanted to wear that frickin' shirt every day. And everybody.
And not only that, though, I mean, if you think about it, too, you weren't buying VIP meet and greets.
No.
It
No,
was
you stood
all
out back
hoping
for an hour, praying that you caught the band walking
walking
onto
out.
the tour bus.
Yep.
Right.
And rain, sleet, or snow, you're
didn't
standing
matter.
out there like a jackass. And
Yep.
I remember Dennis Elliott from Foreigner handing me 2 of his drumsticks.
Yeah.
With his, and he made his own. I think he made his own drumsticks. Dennis Elliott was a woodworker or something. Somebody said, I don't know if it's true or not that he made his own, but with his name stamped on him, and I was like, oh my God.
And you held on to that shit.
That thing hung on my wall. I think it's probably still hanging on the wall in my parents' house. Because it was the greatest thing ever, Or Dee Schneider taking his headband and throwing it, and I got it. And I was like, oh, I got freaking Dee Schneider's headband, So the merch is so different nowadays that bands just don't know. Yeah, you're going to have them at the concert. But that's just the tip of it, I mean, with social media.
Once the internet came around, it just opened up the whole of, now you can buy tour merchandise without actually having gone to the show.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the band is selling it on their website through their merch company, and everybody loved that. The fans loved that. The bands loved it. The merch company loved it. But it's interesting. What hasn't changed in all these decades is still probably for most artists, the number one selling piece of merchandise is
T-shirt.
The black concert T-shirt.
Yep.
That's it. You can, and everybody's come out with every piece of apparel you could imagine you can now buy with band logos.
Right.
The number one thing people will still buy is a black T-shirt.
Right.
That is the number one item every band is going to forever sell.
I have my new piece that I just got yesterday. My good friend of mine just got home a week ago from her first leg of the Black Crowes tour, and she was their tour manager, and so she got me the Black Crowes concert, but it's all the European. It's the European version.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, all right, now I have something that nobody around here can get, because this was the European version. But I know if I go online in a week, there'll be some on there, because you know the show's
Someone will
over.
be selling it for triple.
Well, yeah,
You know.
yeah. It's so I like to try to get things that are one-offs, you know, and nowadays that's tough. So the internet has definitely opened up the world for a whole new version of a revenue stream that wasn't just during the concert, during the tour. Now it's 365, you know, 7 days a week.
Yeah,
and you can buy
exactly. I mean, the band doesn't even have to come to your country, and you can load up on tour books, tour merchandise, everything. Everything that would be sold at a show, you can probably find on a band's website.
Yeah.
So
or let's put it this way, you should be able to, if the band is smart, find it on their website.
There you go.
Right.
Mike, how did you get into this?
You know, I really got hooked on the music business back around 85. I was in college, and I just went into the college radio station, and I was like, I want to do something with college radio. I've always been a big fan of radio, always been a fan of DJs radio. I mean, I've always looked at DJs as they were rock stars to me as well.
Okay.
You know, to meet a DJ was as cool as meeting a rock star.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, college radio station will take every Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Right.
You know, I've literally had no experience, no training, no nothing. I'm like, I want to do a metal show. They're like, okay, Saturdays for 2 hours, 10 p.m. to midnight. You can do whatever you want, play whatever you want. I'm like, it's the coolest thing in the world.
Right.
And then I realized, wait a second, I can get free concert tickets and free music because I do this.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't my goal. It was just, as I started talking to the record label reps, they'd like, yeah, you know, Bon Jovi's coming in concert. Do you want tickets to go see the show in town? I'm like, wait, I can get free tickets? Yeah. Sometimes free passes, everything.
Sure. Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is I love this.
Right.
And you know, that introduced me to the record industry and the marketing, and I was in college for marketing. And I was just like, man, I want to work in the record industry, the music business. Now, I was in Minnesota, so it wasn't exactly the hotbed of you know, the music industry. That was clearly Los Angeles first and foremost, and then New York City, and then anything between there was sort of the vast wasteland.
Right.
Right.
You know, it was just there was no music. There was local regional offices, but that wasn't the heart of the music industry. And I sent resumes out to
not the metal industry, at least.
No, metal was L.A. You had to be in L.A., and if you couldn't do it there, then try New York.
Right.
And I sent resumes out to everybody, and you know, a couple bites, but most of them were like, "Well, if you ever get out here to L.A., we'd be happy to interview you." I'm like, "No, I will come to L.A. if you give me the job. I'm not
There you go.
moving and then doing an interview." I wasn't the wannabe rock star musicians who get up and drive across country with nothing waiting for them. I couldn't do that.
Right.
You know, I was lucky. I got a job with a small management company in Chicago that managed unsigned bands. I'm like, well, Chicago's one step closer to New York or LA, so let's go for it. And frankly, what really set it off was, you know, I worked for the management company. I worked for some local music magazines, some small independent labels there. Got a well-rounded background of experience from all that. But at the same time, it would have been 1994, 95. And I was and have always been big into computers. I mean, I had my first computer was a Commodore VIC-20 when I was confirmed. But 94, 95, this thing called the internet was starting to be talked about.
Right.
Yeah.
And the only way you could connect to the internet might have been through AOL or through some other service that would let you connect to the internet. And there was this talk starting to happen about HTML. There's this new programming language. It's called HTML. It's what you use to build websites. Well, what are websites? And at that time, I was actually working for I was network manager for the ad department of a home improvement store.
Okay.
Home improvement chain. So part of my job is to stay up on new technologies, new computer advancements. I'm like, okay, this looks pretty interesting. I'm feeling there's a kind of an interesting buzz building on this. So let me teach myself how to program in HTML. Okay. And this may sound crazy because, granted 1995 isn't just 10 years ago, but that's not that bad. That's not that long ago.
Right.
That was the dark ages of the internet, the absolute birth of the internet. I think it was about 94, 95 when the government allowed the commercial use of the internet.
Yes. I think
before that, it was only educational, Department of Defense, that sort of stuff, colleges and universities. Nobody could use the internet to make money.
Right.
Well, about 95, and I could be wrong, but I think it was right around there. That was when they said the commercialization of the internet is permitted now.
Yes.
That didn't mean everything exploded overnight because most people, as in businesses, were like, I don't know what the fuck this internet is.
Right. Yeah.
I have no clue. Do I need to be here? If I don't need to be here, I'm not wasting any money on this.
Right.
How's it going to sell more product for me? Well, I got involved building my first website, teaching myself how to do it. There was literally not a single book you could find about how to build websites.
Nope.
There wasn't a single piece of software to help you build websites. You built a website by going to somebody else's website, looking at the source code of that web
Copy
page,
and paste.
Copying it all into something like a WordPress, or not a WordPress, a word processor, and change this text-based programming code to what you want it to do for your website.
Right.
Then you upload it to your server and see if it works.
Right. And if it didn't, something's wrong.
Yeah.
I forgot a tag, a comma, a bracket. And believe me, websites back then were extremely basic.
Yep.
I mean, there was no streaming audio, there was no streaming video.
Right.
I don't think when they first started, you didn't even have inline graphics. You couldn't have a photo that wrapped around. It was very, very rudimentary. It was basically a whole bunch of text that you could make text link to somewhere else.
Right.
That was it. But, right place, right time, 1995, I'm learning this. And what really made this important was I was like, well, if I'm going to teach myself how to do this, I'm going to build a website that I at least enjoy.
Yeah.
So I built a KISS website because I've been a KISS fan my entire life. So I built a website, which when I launched it in 95 was the 5th website on the entire internet about the band KISS.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That just tells you something. 1995, there were not many websites out there.
No.
For anything. I mean, it was just the unknown wild frontier. And, as we know with KISS's history, 96 was their reunion. They exploded. The internet started to explode very quickly at that point in time as well. And August of 1998, I came home from work and I had a voicemail message. Michael Brandvold, This is Gene Simmons of KISS.
Uh-oh.
I've got a business proposition for you. Please call me back at your soonest convenience. Like, the hell could this be? I had dealt with Gene prior to that, helping promote the official KISS Conventions tour, and helping him with his Kisstory 2 book. I was kind of an internet person that was liaison with fans on the internet. So he had already been aware of me. And at the Minneapolis official KISS convention in '96, I gave Gene like a 2-page proposal. Let's do an official website for KISS.
Okay.
I don't know whatever came of it, if it had any impact on this, but August of '98, he calls me. I call him back the next morning, and he basically says, listen, we're going to build a KISS website.
Okay.
Like most bands in 1998, they didn't have websites.
No.
They didn't know what they were for. If there was a website, the record label had built something for them as a portion of the label's website.
Right.
And he's like, you're the most experienced person out there when it comes to KISS and websites. I mean, fact of the matter is true. I mean, I was a huge KISS fan, and I was one of the very small handful of people that built a website about KISS on the internet. He said, call our manager, Doc McGee, and see if you can make this work out. I did. And basically by October of '98, I'd quit my job and had been moved out to San Francisco, and I was working for KISS's, the merchandising company that represented KISS amongst hundreds of other artists that they did tour merchandise for.
Right.
Wow.
And the KISS website was basically a merchandise item.
Sure.
Some other business paid KISS some money to build a KISS website. And Gene's basic criteria was, that's great, but we don't want just some average graphic designer advertising person doing this. You need to hire somebody who knows KISS and knows KISS fans. And that was me. They had hired me. So I didn't work directly for KISS, but I worked for their merchandising company, which actually, to me, was a better opportunity because, 98, 99, 2000, I was quickly now not just doing KISS websites. I was doing Britney Spears, Madonna, U2, Fleetwood Mac, Rod Stewart, Motley Crüe. I mean, the list was going on and on because now by, the beginning of the 2000s, bands realized
they needed
there's value. Yeah. There's money to be made off of these websites, mainly just to sell merchandise and promote their albums.
Right.
But there's money to be made off of this.
Right. It's funny because in 97, 98, I went to work for AT&T back then. And we were selling a hosting package with bandwidth on our backbone because AT&T originally held the backbone for the government and for education. So we had the peering points and everything. And now we were selling internet connectivity, whether it was a dedicated 56K line all the way up to back then only a T1 line. Which
ISDN lines.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking 1.5 megs per second. It was nothing. Yep. Your phone gets 5 gigs a second now, but back then that was huge. And we would sell web pages, paired up with a way to track your web traffic by putting in an 800 number, toll-free number, dedicated to that website. So you could say, well, I got 350 calls on this 800 number that only was advertised on the website. I got 20 of them from the yellow pages. So you could track how well your website did. That was your way as a business owner to track it because there wasn't these marketing agencies or traffic
agencies. There wasn't web stats.
There was no stats.
I remember back then the hack that we would do to get web stats is you would embed
A counter.
basically an invisible graphic on the bottom of every web page.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So every time that web page had to load, it would load this just one by one white pixel. Nobody sees it. But then you'd go into your web stats and go, well, how many times was that graphic image loaded in the last month?
Right.
If it was loaded, 100,000 times, well, that means your website had 100,000 hits to it, not unique visitors. I mean, this is all, people are learning all of this as years go on. But yeah, you had to get creative to figure out how valuable websites were.
Right.
Yeah.
You were learning to pan for gold before there was a pan. Let's
Yeah.
That's how we would say it. We were learning. This was a revenue stream for businesses, bands, movie house, any of them. It was endless. I remember when Netflix was developing their concept, was right around the same time, 97, 98. Like, we want to have all these movies that are on DVD now. We want to make them on demand. And I remember that came out of the team in New York City was working this multi-million dollar deal with what became Netflix. It was somebody else at the time. And you just watch these things grow into what they are now. It's like, I was part of the Wild West of internet.
Oh no, that was the Wild West. It was the Dark Ages. What's really funny, and a lot of people don't realize this, but probably the biggest business that helped grow the internet was pornography.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Pornography was the first ones to do credit card processing online, the first ones to take memberships online, the first ones to figure out how to download graphics and videos online. They broke through so many barriers because the simple fact is people were willing to pay for it back then.
God bless them.
They they're like, Jesus, I got people who want to pay me to download this video. How do I process a credit card? I can't take cash over the internet.
Yeah,
you can't.
So they figure out credit card processing.
Right. People don't know this either. The first online cataloging company, LL Bean.
Really?
Yep.
Well,
LL Bean was first online, had merch, could buy it, and they were using an AS400 platform back then, but that would actually take out of inventory, create a shipping label, do all of that automated through the internet. They were the first company to ever do that. And then 1-800-Flowers was the first one to ever use the internet mixed with a 800 number. So there you go, 1-800-Flowers. I know the salesman that sold that. He made a boatload off that thing for AT&T years ago.
But so once I got started working at the merchandising company, that really just, now I'm working with all these bands. It's all internet based. It's an exploding market. And we are basically trying to find revenue streams that are not music related. We weren't selling music. That was the record label's job.
Right.
We sold tour merchandise and tour books and T-shirts and hats and autographed lithographs and all of this stuff. That was our. I mean, I remember, it wasn't within a first year or so when I started there that KISS became the first band that sold like over $1 million in merchandise online. Yeah. Hey, that's crazy to think about. We're talking like 99-ish and $1 million in basically T-shirts.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
T-shirts.
But Gene Simmons
I figured it was the coffin because,
Gene Simmons was always a businessman in the forefront. I mean, look, they created the KISS Army, and everybody, you could buy merch if you got the right album that had that one insert in the sleeve, and you're like, I got to have a KISS coffee mug. I'm 14. I don't even drink coffee, but I got to have a KISS coffee mug because they're selling them as the KISS Army coffee mug. I mean, he was always thinking more than just the music. Gene's brilliant when it comes to being a businessman.
Gene and Kiss have never been afraid to try anything if there's new revenue associated to it.
Movies.
Yeah.
So he may not have, back in 98, he may not have had a clue what the internet was, how it worked, what it was about. But if I can make money off of it,
Yep.
and it doesn't come out of my pocket, he didn't have to hire me. He had the merch company hire me.
Right.
But he gets the benefit of it. Go for it, he said. Just let's do it, and all of a sudden we're realizing, we can make exclusive merchandise just for the online store. We can really start pushing tour merchandise day one of the tour. So now you don't have to wait for the tour to end to buy it.
Right.
Then we got into, 2003, KISS, we were the first ones to do a VIP package. Pay money to meet a band. KISS were the first ones to do that in 2003 with the $1,000 meet and greet tickets. We had no idea how to do that. Nobody did, because it's never been done before. And I remembered Doc McGee's office had called me. This was right before the start of their tour with Aerosmith, saying, do you want us to hold any tickets for the website? And I'm like, I knew that band ticket holds were always the best seats.
Right.
They can hold the first few rows for themselves. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but hold on to them. And she's like, well, you got until the end of the week to tell me what we want to do with them. Otherwise, we got to release them back to the promoter for the on sale. And I was just like, all right, I'll get back to you in the morning. And, I sat down and I was like, okay, I'm a KISS fan. I know what KISS fans want.
Right. They want to meet these guys.
I know what KISS fans paid for tickets on that reunion tour.
Yeah. Right.
In 96, people were paying scalpers $700 for just a single ticket.
Sure.
So I'm like, well, if I can tell the fans we can guarantee you a first or second row ticket, and we can get a photo with the band, because again, not just KISS, but every band prior to that, the only way you got backstage is if you knew somebody.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
If you were in the business, or you had a good friend who was in the business, but there was still no guarantee
none
you were going to get anything.
Nope.
Back to when I was in college radio, I remember I had tickets to go see Rat in, 86, 87.
Yeah.
Got backstage after show, stick on laminates. And sure, we're all hurled backstage, sit around a bunch of tables, waiting for the band. Eventually, one guy comes out, sits down at one table, says hi to 5 fans, and then leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And then security comes in. That's it. The band is left. Everybody go home. No guarantee.
None.
You could ever meet a band or get a photo.
Right.
So I was like, if we can guarantee KISS fans great seats, if we can guarantee a photo, and because we're the merchandising company, I know, listen, we'll give you an exclusive T-shirt. It costs us $1 to make that T-shirt.
Right.
We're the merch company.
Right.
We're going to give you a tour book. I'll even get the band to autograph the tour book. That tour book has a cost of like $2 to us.
Right.
So, and my initial proposal, I remember, was only $500 because I figured there was no way KISS could do that photo in makeup. Because, they generally arrive, 4 or 5 in the afternoon to get started going into makeup and costume and everything. And then I know after the show, they're basically out of there. They do runners where they're just get off stage, get in a van and leave. They don't even take their makeup and costumes off at the venue. It's back at whatever hotel or wherever they're going. So I was like, it's got to be $500 because it'll probably be a photo with the band out of makeup. And I remember when I pitched all this to Doc, he's like, I love this idea. What do you think we could sell this for if I can get them to do this in makeup?
Oh.
$1,000.
Right.
Instantly, double the price. He's like, all right, let me talk to Gene and Paul, and I'll call you back. Calls me back. Let's make it happen.
Wow.
I'm like, great. So now, how do we sell this? We're not a ticketing company. Nobody has done this before again.
Right.
We sell T-shirts. Basically, we put a product in the KISS store that was essentially nothing more than could have been a T-shirt, except it was a VIP package.
New
and there
SKU.
were only inventory. There was an inventory of 25 of them. And when the inventory went to zero, the product turned off.
Right.
Great. That'll work. That'll work for us. We didn't have to have the tickets in hand yet. We just knew what we needed allocated to us, and anything we didn't sell was going to get released back. And I remember when the tickets were going on sale on like a Friday, I think it was, all of us, Doc's office, merch company, we were all like, all right, what's going to happen? Are the fans going to love this, or is it going to bomb?
Right.
Because we don't know. I mean, if you remember back then, there was pushback of like, oh my God, you cannot charge your fans to meet you. That's terrible. That's the worst thing in the world. We're like, we're not forcing you. I mean, if you don't want to buy it, you don't buy it. But our hope was simple supply and demand will dictate whether this product works or doesn't work. And when the tickets went on sale that Friday morning, within 5-10 minutes, we sold out 25 $1,000 tickets at 60 shows.
Wow.
And we were like, all right,
that's nuts.
The fans are not pissed about this at all.
No.
Well, let's put it this way: the only fans that were pissed were the ones that couldn't afford it.
Right. Yeah.
But I remember Paul did an interview about these, and people were like, do you feel bad selling your most diehard devoted fans meet and greet and tickets for $1,000? He's like, listen, you get on an airplane, it's your choice whether you want to fly first class, business class, or economy.
Right.
Or your class.
Nobody's forced.
Right.
Yeah.
Or, you got a car. Some of us want a Porsche. Some of us want a Kia. Doesn't matter. I mean, that's the way capitalism works. You give everything, all the options are out there. The market decides what they want and what they don't want. If the market had told us when they went on sale that nobody bought it, probably would have never seen VIP programs ever again.
Right.
Wow.
But the second they went on sale and sold out, within a week or two, all these other artists we represented were like, how do we do this?
Well, you just put almost $2 million into the tour's revenue by just into
the band's revenue.
Yeah.
They were already there.
Yep.
They were already at the venue. They were already going to be doing a show. They were already going to be meeting people. All we said is we want 25 minutes blocked out for these people who are paying money to meet you. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy sell. As long as it did sell, they were like, great, we're going to do it. Not a problem. And yeah, you got to also remember 2003-ish, that's really when Napster killed album sales.
Yep.
Album sales were just gone. So now every artist was sort of in a panic mode. How do we replace that lost revenue stream?
Right.
My last album sold 2 million copies. My new album has sold 100,000 copies.
Right.
You're not putting the genie back in the in the bottle when it comes to Napster and digital music. So they were all excited about this new revenue stream. And yeah, I mean, we can see today that's a given that every artist does some form of a VIP, some better than others, some more expensive than others, but that's something that can't be pirated or stolen.
Right.
I think
it's an experience that you're selling.
You were on the foreground in the beginning stages of all that. It's funny to kind of think back now and to see what has it evolved into. Mm-hmm. Now you've got You can do your personalized messages and greetings.
Yeah.
I forget the name of the
Cameo.
Yeah.
So you could do a Cameo, or
And some are, it's weird. Some are $50, some are over 1,000.
right, or you could go crazy now, and the corporate gigs, hiring the band for your corporate gig was nothing you did in the past. Now you have you can get Bon Jovi to come play for State Farm's, meetings and stuff like that. I mean, Allstate paid Bon Jovi $1.7 million to play in Hawaii just for their agents on a beach, tear it down, leave. That was it. So, one 2-hour show.
Unbelievable.
So it's you go where the money is. And if the money isn't, now you've got Apple Play, you've got Spotify, you've got them all.
Amazon.
Yeah. ASCAP and BMI can only grab so much on the royalty aspects of it. And you've got to find other ways to do it. Mm-hmm. And but you don't need to be signed to be a rock star nowadays.
No.
Well, that's the thing. Obviously there's so many people, fans and musicians, who are like, the internet destroyed the music industry. It's the worst thing that ever happened. I'm like, it's the best thing that ever happened to the music business.
Instant.
It leveled the playing field.
Yep.
Prior to the internet, if you were a band, there was what? You count on two hands, the labels, the gatekeepers that made the decision of what music the rest of the world was going to listen to.
Right.
That was it. Those gatekeepers said thumbs up or thumbs down to you. You had no other option.
Right.
You couldn't afford to go into a studio and record without a record label.
No.
There was no digital self-release distribution back then. You had to have a record label with a distributor. So they controlled everything. Yeah. Once the internet arrived and then started developing, and software became more advanced, that GarageBand on every Macintosh, you can now have a full recording studio in your basement.
Yep.
You can spend $30 and release your music on every digital service around the world. It leveled the playing field. Did it open it up for a whole lot of crap?
Yep.
Of course it did.
Yeah.
But that's not a bad thing. Crap isn't going to go to the top. Crap will always fall to the bottom.
Yep.
But it just meant that now you don't have to be at the mercy of some record label president who's got a personal vendetta against your manager that you don't know about, saying, no, I'm not going to do this, or worse, I'm going to sign them, I'm going to record the album,
never release it.
Just to piss the manager off, I'm going to shelve it and never release the band from their contract. Yeah. And don't think that hasn't happened.
Oh
God, yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. So now you don't have to play as much personal politics. Is it more work? Sure. You've got to really work your butt off now. You may have to finance yourself. But you know what? A band, honestly, is no different than any startup business, restaurant, you name it. You've got to be willing to maybe operate for a loss for a year, 2 years, 3 years, before you can break even, and then start approaching to make money. Why do you as an artist think your first album should make you rich and famous? I mean, it's just ridiculous. That's like, I've got no experience as a chef,
right,
or running a restaurant, but I'm going to open up a restaurant. I'm going to pick this street corner, and I want to, after the first 30 days, be rolling in dough.
Yeah, because I sell one item.
Everybody's going to look at you and go, "You fucking nuts." You've got no idea about the business. You have no, and so that's what it's done, is like, you can't just be a musician anymore. You've got to be an entrepreneur.
Marketer, yeah,
is what you are now. You've got to understand finances, business strategy, marketing. What's your burn rate? How much money is your band burning every month versus how much you're bringing in?
Yeah.
What's your break even? Lots of bands are like, I don't care about that stuff. I just want to record music. I'm like, that's great, but you got to know this stuff.
Yeah, or you're going to be poor forever.
Poorer.
Or you'll never stop playing the local dive bar.
Right.
And listen, I've told many people, there's absolutely nothing wrong with just playing the local dive bar. If that's what you want, if that's what you see as success, is being able to play the local bar once a month, get a free, bar tab for you and your buddies, play some music, have some girls give you the eye and stuff like that, make you feel young again. Awesome. But
Right.
if you want to make this your career so you can live off of it, this is a whole nother world that you are going to be dealing in.
Right.
It's a business.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Some could say that about third-rate podcasts.
You're right.
I just when people ask me about doing podcasts, my first thing is, you're not going to make any money.
No.
So if you think you're going to make a podcast to make money, just stop right now, because you won't make any money. You're not going to live off of this.
Nope.
You better have a crap ton of fun doing it, because there's no financial rewards that are going to come from podcasting.
So, Mike, I got to ask, we asked this of all the bands, and we kind of touched upon it before we started rolling, but sounds like the things you've touched have all, turned to gold. But has any of your ideas been like, oh man, that was a flop?
Anything gone right straight in the shitter? Let's be honest.
If you say no, I'm going to just disconnect this shit right now, because no one's that lucky.
I'll be honest and say, I know there's got to be something, and it's probably a product, or, like when I was working for Kiss's merch company, I was sort of the go-to Kiss guy of like product ideas. And what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And, honestly, I'm sure there's more than one thing that didn't succeed, that failed. But the honest to God truth is, I don't even worry about that. I don't even think about things that could fail, because, I know Gene has said this, but so many people say this, like, you could be the best baseball player in the Major League Baseball and you only hit 3 out of 10 pitches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
3 out of 10. That's like, people are like 30%. Like, that's Hall of Fame status there. I mean, if you can do that year after year after year after year consistently, nobody's paying attention to the 7 that you swung and missed at.
Right. You're right.
So, and the honest truth is, you're gonna fail. That's just part of business.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of being an entrepreneur. Not every song you write is going to be a great song.
Right.
Not every show you play is going to sell out.
Right.
Not every band member you hire to join is going to work out and be there for the life of the band.
Correct.
Especially drummers. There's
failures. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you can choose to either worry about failure, and honestly, and I hate this to be more of a motivational speech, but if all you're worried about is your failures, you're never going to be focused on doing anything to succeed. You're always going to be, oh, well, could this fail? Could this fail? If there's doubt of failure, you're just never going to do it.
Yeah.
And back to podcasting, I tell new podcasters, they're like, well, how long does it take for me to get started, and what should I do to get ready? And I'm like, just stop planning, stop thinking, sit down in front of a mic, hit the record button, and just talk.
Right.
And then when you're done, just release it.
Yep.
That's it. If you sit here and go, well, I've got to script this out, and I've got to do prep for the show, and I've got to test out what are the best logos and the best graphics and the best thumb. I'm like, you do all that, you're going to be doing it 12 months from now, and you still haven't launched your first episode.
Right. Trust me, we've had some that we sit back and we go,
Oof.
Should we look and see how many views we've had? Nah.
Right. Nah.
I think that one sucked.
No.
And then we looked and we're like,
I mean,
holy shit, everybody loved that one.
Right.
Well, that's our attitude on, especially on the KISS podcast, Three Sides of the Coin. We don't give a crap how many people listen. Do we love it if a lot do? Of course we do.
Yeah.
Right.
But if an episode gets 1,000 listeners instead of 5,000 listeners, are we like, well, let's analyze this and figure out what we changed and what went wrong? It's like, fuck no, because like you just said, we will record episodes where we're done and we're like, God, that was an absolute train wreck.
Yeah.
That was terrible. That was boring. Nobody's going to like that. And then you release it the next day, and the first comment on YouTube is, that was your best episode ever. I'm like, go figure.
Right.
Yeah.
Go figure. Because I always tell, and this can apply to anybody who's creative, podcasters or musicians. The second you start trying to figure out what people like and changing things to accommodate what you think they should like, you're going to start failing a lot more. Because think of it this way, that one podcast episode that we thought we should change to make it better, if we did that, the person who said it was the best episode ever might have said that was your worst episode ever.
Right.
So you turn the people that potentially love what you're doing into not liking what you're doing because you're overthinking it and trying to accommodate everybody. And that's why I say you cannot ever change what you think is right because a fan or a listener said this was the right way to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't. You have, at the end of the day, it's your name that will live on forever with that work you created, whether it's a podcast or a song. And if you're happy with it, then it doesn't matter what the rest of the world thinks.
Right.
But if you change that song to accommodate somebody else, release it and go, I don't feel comfortable with that. I really don't like that. It wasn't me. It wasn't us. It wasn't the best song. Guess what? You're living with that forever. It's got your name plastered all over it, and you will forever go, and every time I hear that episode or that song, it makes me cringe. Then do what you want that makes you happy, and screw the fans, screw the listeners.
Yeah. Because the ones who get what you've been doing from the beginning
Right.
are going to continue to get what you're doing.
And I have always said the radio hit was probably the worst song on the record, and now they have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at KISS as an example. When the Destroyer album was released, the B-side on the first single was Beth.
Right.
Right.
Because they didn't think because back then they figured nobody flips over 45s at a radio station to play the B-side.
No.
So let's throw that song away. Well, Beth turned out to be the song that literally saved KISS's career.
Look at that.
Because people flipped it over, listened to this other song, and were like, wow, no, this is actually really good.
Yeah. No?
See, not everybody knows that.
What?
That did. I didn't know that it saved it.
Oh, yeah.
Till now.
No,
So I mean,
no.
there's the value in just that story right there. I mean, don't sell yourself short. If you believe in a product, just believe in it all the way through.
Yeah.
You've got to believe in it. I know it's very tough for a creative person to deal with all of the internet feedback you can get from your work, and it can be depressing, and it can make you pissed and angry.
Yep.
But read it and just go, I love the song. Okay, then who gives a crap what every other fan thinks? You know, I've given a lot of speeches, and I'll throw a KISS reference in. I'm like, you know, when you start creating music because you want to create it to please the critics, you end up creating music from The Elder.
Yeah.
Which was an album that KISS literally created to show the critics that they are a real band, a serious band that can write deep, meaningful music. They didn't listen to their hearts. They didn't listen to the fans. They didn't listen to certain band members at the time.
Right.
Gene and Paul were like, we're doing this. They released it. That album nearly killed their career. It bombed. Paul will to this day say that was not a good album. That was a mistake. It should have never been done.
Right.
There's a case of somebody put his name on a piece of work and he's not proud of.
Yeah. Agreed.
Because they tried to please somebody else.
Interesting.
Well, there's words of wisdom to live by for anybody who's listening to this, who has a band or
a podcast
or anything
that
you're trying. Use those words when you're any business.
Right.
You have a restaurant. You believe in the food you're doing, and as soon as somebody says you should have put cheese on that, well, then you don't just start putting cheese on everything. You just say, hey, then you want me to order it that way. I'll throw cheese on a fucking bowl of Cheerios if you want, you whack job, but that doesn't mean I'm going to put it on my menu as a regular item.
Correct.
So
that's exactly, you got to believe in what you're doing. You got to stick to what you're doing. You got to have confidence in your skills and your abilities. Yeah, again, be courteous when people give you feedback, but you've also got to sit back and go, well, who is this person giving me feedback?
Right.
Yeah.
What's their qualifications?
Right.
I mean, as we know, as podcasters, the vast majority of people giving you feedback on how to make a better podcast have never recorded a single podcast in their life.
Right.
Correct.
So where are you in this hierarchy of being able to give me actual credible advice? Oh, it's so easy to interview people remotely. Have you ever done it?
Right. Try it.
No. Well, then don't tell me it's very easy to do.
Right.
Oh, just buy a better microphone and it'll improve it. Have you done this? No. Same for bands. That fan who says, "Oh, your concert would be so much better if this was your set list." Have you ever been in a band that played live before that has 40 years of recorded material to choose from? No, I've never been in a band, but I know what's better.
Right.
Okay. Have you ever managed a band? No. I work at 7-Eleven. All right. Thank you for your input. Right. We'll take it into consideration, and then just, there's certain people, certain opinions have more weight than other opinions.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, it's an analogy
Yeah.
I know Gene Simmons has used, but I've heard it before. It's like, if I want medical advice, I'm not taking it. I'm not getting medical advice from my accountant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting medical advice from my doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Conversely, I'm not going to my doctor to ask him about accounting. I'm going to my accountant. So some opinions are actually truly more valuable than other ones.
Right.
Everybody's got an opinion, but as the creative person, it's sort of your job to sit here and go, no, and unless it's John Kalogner telling me something about my band,
right?
I'm not going to really give it any consideration.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome.
Unless Doc McGee comes strolling around the corner, guess what?
Yeah, I mean that's exactly. There are the Doc McGees of the world, the Gene Simmons of the world, the people who've been doing this for 50 years have more than enough success to back up their statements.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you still have to listen to them.
Right.
But at least their opinion is worth more for you to consider.
Right. Good words of wisdom.
Yeah.
So, you've been doing this a while. What's next for you? What's the next thing that we know? KISS has gone a whole different avenue with some of the VR stuff, and there's all kinds of cutting edge technology that KISS always seems to be, on the in the forefront of. What do you have going on that you could say this could be the next best thing? Anything like that?
More of what I can't say than what something that is the next best thing that I've discovered. It's being on top of all of the potential marketing tools that are out there on the internet. And there are so many tools that bands can use.
Right.
And figuring out which ones are useful and which ones aren't.
Yep.
And, it still comes back to what tools are going to help you connect directly to your fan.
Right.
And like I own your fan. So they're your fan. They come with you. You own them. And what that means is you've got a Facebook page and you could have 10,000 fans that like your Facebook page. You don't own a single one of those fans. You don't, frankly, know who they even are.
Yeah.
Right.
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, none of those social networks will let you take your followers and go somewhere else with them. They will not tell you who they are by name.
Mm-hmm.
They will not give you their email addresses. They are not going to give you any of that. You do not own a single thing there. And
Right.
as we know, they only make money by selling advertising.
Right.
So their whole business model is, how do we make you want to spend more money to reach more people through our megaphone?
Right.
And it's just like, that's ridiculous. There are certain websites out there that don't play the algorithm game.
Right.
And again, that means Facebook, the honest to God truth is maybe 2-3% of the people who like your page are ever going to even see the post you make.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because Facebook won't even put that post in
front of
their
them.
feed to see.
Right.
Oh, you want more than 2 or 3% to see this? Spend some money.
Yep, pay
Boost
me.
that post.
Yep.
Pay
me.
us.
Right.
But that doesn't mean $50 is going to get everybody to see it. $50 might get another 3% to see it. There's still, 90% of the people still don't see it. Spend more money.
Right.
So that algorithm game sucks.
Yeah.
There is no secret sauce. There's no secret tool to beat the algorithm. You will never beat it. It's sort of like, you're never going to beat the house in gambling. The house is always going to win eventually.
Correct.
Yeah.
Facebook's always going to win. Instagram's always going to win. TikTok's always going to win. They're all going to win when they have these algorithms. So things like YouTube don't play the algorithm game when it comes to their subscribers. So if you've got 10,000 people who subscribe to your YouTube channel and you post a new video or you make a new post to the community section, 10,000 of your subscribers are going to get a notification. Depending on how they've configured their YouTube app to notify them,
Right.
Yeah.
they're going to get a notification. YouTube doesn't sit here and go, well, we're only going to notify 2% of your subscribers.
Right.
Nope. They'll all get subscribed. Spotify, if you have all these fans who follow your band's Spotify profile, when you release new music, those fans will all be notified by Spotify. You've got new music.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's no algorithm that says, well, we're only going to show 5% of your followers that you've got new music. No, they're going to, in that Release Radar playlist that comes up every Friday, Release Radar is different for every single person.
Yeah.
It's based on who you follow on Spotify. So
Right.
if you follow a band
Mhm.
and they release a new single, a new album, a new EP, one Friday, your Release Radar is going to have a new track by that band.
Yeah.
Right.
Done. And then finally, Bands in Town,
Yeah.
which is kind of a really known as a tour dates hub, but Bands in Town doesn't play algorithms either.
Right.
So if you've got 10,000 people following your band on Bands in Town for tour dates,
Yeah.
and you send a message to all of your followers that you just announced a new tour, 10,000 fans are going to get that message notification. If you've got, of those 10,000, if 500 of them live in the, I don't know, the metropolitan area of Tampa, Florida, and you announce a new date in Tampa, Florida, Bands in Town will automatically send out an alert to all of your fans in Tampa, Florida, saying, we've got a show coming to town.
Right.
No algorithms. So bands need to really focus on growing their followers where there's less algorithm impact, where you can reach everybody, where you have much more control over everything you do.
Right.
I'm not saying walk away and give up on all these others, because you still got to be there. Mm-hmm. But you got to understand it's a no-win game against Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and, Twitter. You're never going to beat that system. There's no way to beat it. Right. You will always lose.
Interesting.
That's a good way to see. This is why we have guys like Mike in the business.
Exactly.
That can help these people. Mm-hmm. So, Mike, I got to tell you, we could talk to you for like 6 more hours. There's so much that I'm sure.
I love conversations like this.
I do too.
It's extremely informative. A lot of people need to just kind of take note of what he said on a lot of things.
Well, what I'd love to do is I'd love to have you back, and I'd love to have people that are listening to this that have concerns shoot us an email.
Yeah.
And maybe next time we have you on, we can read you some of their concerns or questions.
Yeah.
Happy to answer questions.
And give us a plug. How do we find your, I know how to do it because I already looked it up today.
Right.
How do they find your podcast? Because I watched the whole thing about QR codes.
Oh.
And I laughed my ass off because I was like, finally, somebody said it that people are listening.
Yep.
Don't post a picture of your fucking QR code.
Yeah.
Just put a link that they can click on. Because I'm not going to go. I'm doing it all from here.
That comes down to these band members. They don't understand technology. They don't understand what's going on. Going all the way back to when websites were first launched, we all have access now to so much back-end data.
Yeah.
That will tell you what countries people are coming from, what languages they speak, what cities they are in, what browsers they use, what kind of device do they use, as in smartphone, tablet, desktop, what operating system they use, Windows, Mac OS, iOS, Android. And anybody who follows their stats anywhere, social networks, websites, you will know the absolute vast majority of your traffic is somebody viewing it with this device right here.
Yep.
A smartphone.
Yeah.
Not a tablet, not a laptop, not a desktop device. I mean, like, way more people on this than everything else. So,
costs a lot of marriages to fail.
I'm looking at your Facebook on my smartphone here, and you're like, you want links to buy tickets? Scan this QR code. And I'm going to be like, I scan QR codes with this device. How does this camera scan what's on the front of my screen?
Correct.
It can't do it.
Nope.
Right.
It doesn't work.
Nope.
So, that's where you're like, first of all, you're looking unprofessional by doing that. Second of all, you're losing all traffic because not a single person is going to go find their wife's cell phone. Hey, honey, can you scan this on my cell phone?
Right.
No, that's not happening. Just they're already on the internet right here. Just give them a link to click. Yeah. That's it.
Done.
Now, I will say in defense of some organizations, when they make a poster that they're going to be hanging for, let's say, benefits or whatnot, they want you to scan the QR code. Mm-hmm. That's why it's designed. So
correct.
You can scan it from the supermarket window, from the
real
bar's
world.
poster.
You scan in the real world.
But when you post it on the internet, it's very easy for that charity event or whatever to post the poster that they've already spent money on or had somebody create for them. Just do yourselves a favor. And even
put a link in there.
Put a link.
Yeah.
Click the QR code. You can make the QR code a hot link that take them that they don't have to scan it.
Correct.
If people are drawn to the QR code, fine. Make it a link. Click the QR code online. And it'll take you where you got to go.
Yep.
But I watched your episode and I was like, I was beaming. I'm like, she did exactly what I've been saying.
Someone gets it other than me.
So much of my music business podcast is stuff like that, where we're talking about what we've experienced as marketing people working with clients, but as fans ourselves. Again,
Right.
I'm still a fan to this day. I follow so many bands, and there's nothing more frustrating than going to a band's Facebook page and they're like, hey, we just released a brand new album. And I'm like, where's the link to click?
Yeah.
Yes.
You didn't tell me where to go find it.
Yeah.
You want me to now take my time, leave here, maybe go to Spotify, maybe go to Apple Music, maybe go to YouTube and start searching? No. That's not going to happen. Put the link in. I've always said some bands make it so hard for fans to give them $10.
Yeah.
I've literally made comments to bands occasionally. I'm like, I want to give you $10. How do I give you $10?
Right.
The one I can't stand, though, is when you're on Instagram and they say the link is in the bio. No. Can't you put it there?
Well, again,
you can't put a clickable link in an Instagram post.
Okay.
Right.
You can only put links up in the bio. So that's what they do. But here, to your point, this is the second thing that's really bad. A lot of bands automatically connect Instagram to Facebook.
Yeah.
So anything they post on Instagram automatically gets posted to their Facebook. Not a bad idea.
Right.
But you got to think about what you're doing. And I'm sure we've all seen these Facebook posts that are filled with a bunch of @ symbols for user IDs, hashtags, and then the Facebook post says, click link in bio to purchase.
And there's no bio.
There's no bio in Facebook.
Correct.
That is immediately somebody who posted that properly on Instagram, but then just said Instagram automatically share that to Facebook. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right.
You need to put the link itself in the Facebook post. The Instagram post has to say click link in bio.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody gets it.
No.
Well, they don't get it. They also don't do it themselves. And a lot of this can be alleviated. Just go read your own Facebook post. Read it.
Yeah.
And follow the directions that you put in there.
Yeah.
And when you go, I can't, there's nothing to click on. Aha. There you go.
Yeah.
Fix it.
People, if you're listening and you want to do this, make it as simple as possible, because it takes one eye movement to have them distracted and start clicking, and they never come back. They go down. I always say, I do it myself. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I like that piece of merchandise. I'm going to, oh, what's this? Click. Yeah. Now I'm 11 clicks away from where I wanted to be.
To go back.
And I'm so far into the woods that it's time to flush and wash my hands.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? It's flush and wash your hands. You've lost me.
Right.
You've lost me.
Yep.
So anyways, Mike, thank you so much for taking the time with us today. We have to have you back.
Yeah.
We have to.
Because I know there's so much more to cover.
Happy to come back anytime. And, in the meantime, people can find everything about me at michaelbrandvold.com. I've got links to both podcasts up there, my services, everything's up there.
Yeah.
Cool.
All the sample T-shirts that were never sold. He's probably got some merch. I'll take a couple irregulars, one sleeve KISS shirts, something, whatever you got.
Right.
So,
Probably got some backstage passes that aren't any good, but hey, you can own them.
You know what? Don't mock that.
I'm not gonna.
I have my backstage laminate for the concert that just ended. That they're not in tour anymore, so
can't use it here.
Doesn't matter. Again, thank you so much, Mike. If you ever have anything you need to plug, you want us to plug, our
please let us know.
Our hearts go out to you. We'll
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely.
And again, anytime you want me back, just reach out.
Definitely.
Will do.
Definitely. Brother, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Take care, guys.
Thanks, Mike. Take it easy.
Bye.
I know. All right, Jeffrey. There we go.
Let's roll out of here.
Rolling it out of here. Rolling. Hey, you know what this says?
No free shout-outs.
No free shout-outs. So, today we are brought to you by DJ Life's a Beach,
Good Nature Brewery,
Uncle Jimmy's local live music, and whatever it's called this week. Sorry, Jimmy.
The Print Shop Underground.
Print Shop Underground.
Yep.
Ultimate Ears. Do not forget Ultimate Ears.
You can hear your own tears
with Ultimate Ears.
And Snarky Productions.
Don't forget Toffee Break Toffee.
No. The only toffee doesn't stick to your teeth.
That's right. Dentist approved. Guys, thank you so much for sticking around for this episode. We've got so much more. Our next episode's a doozy.
Can't wait.
It warrants. It warrants a listen.
It warrants a listen.
It warrants a listen. Remember what we always say.
Be good to each other.
Don't be a dick. Peace.